Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1566A, and today's date is May 11th, 2018, and the title of the episode is, The Cycle Has Ended. We will soon see the collapse of each sector. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. I uploaded a new interview with Michael Pinto. It is on the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel. So if you go over to YouTube and you type in X22 Report Spotlight, it will bring you to the video, or you can come over to the x22report.com site or newssentinel.com site. Scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side, and you can play the video right on the site, or go to Steemit, that is steemit.com/@X22Report, and you can play the interview right on Steemit. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, we've been talking about cryptocurrency, gold, and silver, and I just want to make something very clear. Gold and silver, I do believe everyone needs to have. I mean, if you look at other countries, China, Russia, India, Germany repatriated their gold, Hungary did the same thing, and you see that people and countries and central banks, they want their gold back, and they want to hold on to gold. Why? Because it's a store of wealth. It protects you from when the fiat system goes south, and it allows you to maintain your wealth. Now, this new cryptocurrency system that is being developed right now, it's electronic. We use electronic currency today. It's called the fiat dollar. The difference is that the central bankers control the Federal Reserve note. And I'm not saying that fiat currency is bad. It is bad when the central bank, which is a private corporation, the Private Western Central Bank is a private corporation, it's when they loan it to the government with interest attached. And the government has to repay the principal plus the interest, and basically to do this, they need to tax the people. And remember, the central bank created the currency by pushing a button. It wasn't mined. It, like Bitcoin or any of the other cryptocurrencies, it didn't take a lot of energy or anything like that. It just basically took a push of a button. There was no work involved compared to gold and silver, where they have to go and they have to locate it, they have to dig for it, they have to put a little bit of investment into it to get it out of the ground. Same thing with cryptocurrency. You just can't push a button and just have tons of coins pop up. It takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of processing power to get those coins. So there's work involved in it. And it's getting harder and harder as time goes on. And what we're seeing right now is that we have gold and silver and we have cryptocurrencies. I believe both of them together is what will be needed in the future. Because you need to remember, right now, we use an electronic currency, which is created by the Fed. And we go around, we use our debit cards, our credit cards, our phones to pay for items. Even on the internet, we send money back and forth, currency back and forth. Cryptocurrency, well, that would allow you to move currency back and forth. The only difference with the cryptocurrency, the blockchain system, first of all, it's a ledger system where you can see all the transactions. So basically, criminals really wouldn't use this because you can track down where the funds have gone. It's a truth machine. This is why other countries are looking at blockchain technology. They see how this can help. The other thing that I like about it is that you don't need a central bank. You don't need a centralized organization creating your currency. And then you don't need other banks. So it kind of removes that whole banking structure, which we've been fighting against for a very long time. And since 1913, when the Federal Reserve basically bribed everyone to get into the system, it is now time to get them out of the system. And I think cryptocurrencies with gold and silver, both of these together, will allow this to happen. And we can see that there are many different institutions and different social media companies and corporations like Google and Facebook who banned cryptocurrency ads. Now, of course, they're making the case that, we want to protect you. We want to make sure that you're safe, that you don't invest in these crazy, volatile things. Well, they do allow ads for gambling, which doesn't make sense because you're just gambling your money away. They don't protect you there. No, what they're doing is they're saying, listen, don't use any of this stuff. We're going to create something that will allow you to use. And we could see this already. Now, what we're seeing is that Facebook banned cryptocurrency ads. And now it looks like Facebook, they are reorganizing, shaking it up with management. We know that they've been testifying in front of Congress about privacy policies and stuff like that. But we could see that they are preparing, and they're setting up a small group to explore how to best leverage blockchain across Facebook, starting from scratch. And they're looking to create, guess what? Their own cryptocurrency. A virtual token that would allow its billions of users around the world to make electronic payments. Very interesting. We also see Australia. The government of Australia is considering a framework governing emerging technologies such as blockchain in order to transform trade. So the move would give the DHA a further outlet into funding legitimate trading activity, and it comes as the same week as Australia's 2018-2019 budget allocated for about $700,000 to blockchain research. Now, what is the Australian government saying about blockchain? Well, blockchain is a tool, and it gives you greater visibility of who entered data into the system. It's a truth machine. You can always find out by going back throughout the ledger of where all these transactions occurred. Oh, so wait a minute. I thought criminals would use this. I thought terrorists would use this. But if it's a truth machine, and you can go back and find out who did the transaction, how is this possible? Remember, we talked about this report that China had where they said, yeah, terrorists wouldn't really use the blockchain technology. They really wouldn't use the crypto market. It just wouldn't make sense. And for those people who are still thinking like, oh, cryptocurrencies, it's not going to happen. Yeah, it is happening. It's happening just like the internet happening. And I remember going back in time, and I'm going to date myself here, when I first got my first Atari computer with a 300 baud modem, and I used to visit bulletin boards. And back then, you really couldn't get on the internet. It was a little bit difficult to get on the internet. But then we also had, Prodigy from Sears that came on board. And then we had AOL, which gave you a dial-up connection into the internet. And still, many people were out there saying, what is this going to be used for? It's unsafe. I would never put my credit card on the internet. I would never do my banking on the internet. I would never do anything on the internet. I don't see any use for this whatsoever. But there were smart people that said, hey, this is going to be something that's going to be huge in the future, and we're going to buy up as many domain names as possible. And it only costs like 25 cents, 10 cents to buy these domain names. So we're going to buy as many as we possibly can, and hopefully once this thing starts to take off, because all you have to do is hold them, you really don't have to do much with them, and once this starts to take off, we're going to sell them back to the companies. And these individuals made a huge amount of money. The same thing's happening with cryptocurrency right now. Yes, Bitcoin is out there, and there's many other coins out there right now, but this is the very, very early stages. We're seeing so much happen in a very short period of time that this is going to blow everything else out of the water as time goes on. And you need to understand cryptocurrency. You need to use it. You need to get into it, because once this transition occurs, all these different countries that are looking at blockchain, all these different corporations that are looking at blockchain, all these different companies and stores that are looking to accept cryptocurrency, you need to know your way around it and how to work everything. And while you're doing it, you might as well make some money out of it to better yourself. And as you make more, you start to understand more. Even when you lose money, you learn how to use it. So you need to understand it. You need to know how it works. You need to know how to trade it, because this will help you, and transfer it to private wallets, to other locations. Now, there is a school, which is the X22 Report school. I do not run the school. I do not own the school, but that is a link that will bring you over to the school. I am in the trading room, and there is a separate trading room where you can go. There's professional traders there that are making different calls every single day, showing you what to do. And there are many people that are doing very, very well in the trading room. And the other thing, and people have been writing in about this because I mentioned it once before, and I think this was on the interview with V and Crypto Cowboy and Crypto Z. In the trading room, instead of cashing out of cryptocurrency, if you'd like to, into dollars, they're going to allow you to cash out into gold. And you can receive the physical gold. So hopefully that answers everyone's questions, because everyone's been writing in about that. And I just said, you know what, I'm just going to make an announcement so everyone understands that. So I think that this is going to be the next big thing. And you can see that this is making huge advances. Countries are looking at it. The central bankers completely hate it. But I think this is the direction that this new economy is going to move into. We see right now that this old economy that we're in right now, it is completely breaking down. Macy's right now is doing terribly. Morgan Stanley and analysts say that Macy's might need to quicken the pace of its store closures. And they're closing stores right now, but they're saying that they need to speed up the process because the slowdown in the expansion of store fleets across retail, well, the current growth is less than 1% compared to 2 and 3% over the last 5 years. So it is slowing. Actually, the global growth is slowing dramatically across the entire world. Why? Because we're at the end of the cycle of the fiat system that the central bankers put into place in 1971 when we came off the gold standard. And we talked about the gold standard yesterday on how gold prices completely changed after we came off the gold standard. And we see right now that the UMich is a measurement of confidence in the economy, in the stock market, and confidence in a rising stock market has dropped to its lowest since April of 2017. People are losing faith in the stock market. And this should tell you something. This means something is not right. And many people are going to say, you know something? I might be pulling my money out of the market right now, taking my profits, and that's it. We see the housing bubble is in a huge amount of trouble. Most Americans don't know, but the housing market is heading towards another epic collapse of this gigantic bubble. The bubble forming today is much different than the subprime housing meltdown in 2007. Back in 2007, there was an oversupply of homes, whereas today there is a shortage of homes. Now, why is there a shortage of homes? Well, because a lot of hedge funds, investment companies, they've purchased a lot of the homes. They're keeping them off the market. Banks are told not to foreclose on those homes, but let people live in there. This drives prices up. And the other problem we have today, which is very different than 2007-2008 crisis, is that wages have not kept up with rising home values. For example, the average hourly earnings have only increased 21% since 2009. However, the U.S. median home price of $330,000 in the first quarter of 2018 has increased by 53%. A huge difference. And there is a very big difference in the cost of building a new home. It's much higher than it was in 2006. At the peak of 2006, the U.S. median new home price was around $262,000 versus $337,000 today. The U.S. median new home price is 60% higher than the low in 2009. Now, Steve St. Angelo is looking at the housing market, and he's saying that this is going to be a 3-stage collapse, and this is how the housing market most likely will come down this time. The first stage of the housing collapse will occur when the broader markets experience a 25 to 50% sell-off. At this point, the U.S. median home price will fall around 40% to $200,000. As U.S. oil production continues to to decline. We'll enter the second stage as the U.S. median home price drops 60% to $120,000. The third stage of the U.S. housing collapse will occur likely by 2030, or maybe a little bit sooner, as domestic oil production falls from 50 to 75%. As Americans and citizens of the world understand that oil production will continue to decline, the value of stocks, bonds, real estate will also continue to fall, which is why I see the U.S. median home price to be around $40,000 in the third stage of the collapse. And again, if this is collapsing, and we know the housing market, the bubbles are popping in Canada, Australia's in a huge housing bubble, we see Europe is in a housing bubble, the UK, and the United States. Once this falls apart, we know what happened back in 2008. People lost equity in their homes. A lot of people lost their homes. This time it's going to be much, much worse. The Fed has about $4.5 trillion of toxic assets on their books. We're at the lowest interest rate possible, which, well, not really the lowest. We can go negative, but it's starting to creep up now. As the interest rates creep up, it's pushing a lot of people out of the real estate market. How high can they bring it until the entire system comes down? Well, Michael Pento, the interview I just did with him, he says 2 more rate increases will invert the yield curve, and we are in a recession. Now, the central bankers know this. Trump, the Patriots, they know this. This is why we've been talking about controlling the narrative. We're at the end cycle right now, and once the housing market falls apart, this leads into everything else. It leads into the banking system. It leads into the insurance companies. It leads into all the physical products like lumber, cement, electrical, copper. I mean, think about what is going to happen here. Everything is going to start to fall apart. Now, let's talk about the banks, because that will lead into mortgages. Because all the mortgages, refinancing, all that's going to completely fall apart, because all that's going to default. And they won't be able to issue new mortgages. So they're going to have to lay off people in the banking system. They're going to have to lay people off in the lumber industry. They're going to have to lay people off in the cement industry, in the tar industry because of driveways, in the electrical industry, in the plumbing industry. Construction is going to take a dive. The whole thing is going to be a complete disaster. Now, if all these homes are, losing value and the system's coming down, and let's just say it's the housing market, guess what then? All the home improvement stores, all the building supplies there, they're going to take a hit. I mean, this is a domino effect because one affects the other and the whole thing starts to come down. So we are at the end stages right now, and this is what we're going to experience because we can see right now the entire system is built on this illusion, just like it was built on the illusion leading up to 2008. They tricked us. Yes, they tricked us. They told us the subprime securities were AAA. They told us everything was contained. They said we only need one bailout. That's all we need. It's not going to be that much. They lied. They knew exactly what it was going to be. The same thing is going to happen this time, but it's going to be much, much worse. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.